everybody. How are you? I was waiting for a notification to go up, but I'm still, yeah, that's right, glasses today. I'm still, it's only 3 notifications every 24 hours, so it's stuck. So anyway, this is a pretty juicy live stream. I have to be done at 2:45 because I have to get out. I have my Shazam screening, and so it's it's a little bit of a tight turnaround, so I apologize. Oh, DJM, your first live as a member. I love it. Oh, look at all these people jumping in with questions. Frog Eater wants them to stop the leaks. Sahil says, hi, Grace, just have been a viewer for a long time. Just wanted to say your energy and positive vibes are unmatched. Thank you. Thank you so much. Media Lover says, in regards to yesterday's Prince Philip ranking, Philip and Eric are my top 2. My first gay crushes then and now. Also, did you see they moved Wicked up to Thanksgiving? I did. I hope it's good. Hey, Mark Burns. All right, you guys were pretty crafty. You got in your questions before we started with the stories of the day, and I respect that. I respect that kind of crunch. So now we're going to get into today's 3 stories. As always, try to keep your comments based on what we're talking about, or else I might not be able to answer them. And I will open it up to questions after each story that are specific to that story. And then, of course, at the end of the stream, as always, you can ask me anything you want for around the final 10 minutes. But we got to see. Hey, Holden. All right, hold on. That's right, Media Lover. You guys are very smart. Look, you got a ruby next to your name. That's right. You're old school. I love it. All right. Story number 1. Boop. Oh, this is a juicy one. So yesterday afternoon, a notification didn't go up. It's just very slow. That's nice. All right, so anyway, story number 1. Innovative David says, I'm catching the live today. Was in boxing yesterday. Yesterday's stream was very late. I'm so glad that you were able to make today's. All right. So, higher than an emerald is the ruby, Graham. Ruby is top tier, as you can see down below are the badges. The badges are explained down below. All right, now some people are blaming this on Quantum Mania, but I don't think that's true. I just think this is the most egregious spoiler leak they've had to date. And I think they feel that it's one that would hold up in court. So what's happening? Let me explain it to you. Thanks, Jerome. All right, so yesterday people noticed that the Marvel Studios spoiler Reddit board was down. And they were like, what? Why is this down? Why is this Reddit board down? And it was revealed that on Friday, Marvel Studios filed a lawsuit against Reddit about this very board. And they're saying that they're trying to compel Reddit to identify the Quantumania leaker who leaked the closed captioning script for the film. So released a ton of dialogue, which obviously gives away a lot of the story. And I'll give you some tea. I happen to also know that Marvel has been trying to get Reddit to give up some scoopers, some anonymous scoopers, based on their IP as well. So Marvel's, been, poking Reddit for a while, but this is their most serious move yet. Now, it just so happens that Reddit cannot divulge the identity unless someone regularly posts on the site. Because it disappears. Reddit's designed to protect identities. So there's no IP to divulge. There's no email to divulge. So I think that Reddit's like, well, what do you want us to do about it? And I think that Disney must know this. Disney is a very big company with a large number of expensive lawyers working for them who I'm sure looked into how Reddit works. So I think that this is Disney setting the stage to go before a judge and say, you fix this because Reddit is allowing the distribution of our property, our protected property, copyright protected property. Hey, Jennifer. And I feel to some degree they have a point on this one. I think that's very interesting. There's also a Supreme Court case going on right now about the internet in general. Whereas right now, internet sites have immunity. They're like, we're not responsible for what's posted on our site. And that's, of course, in the past been used, with hate speech, political conspiracy theories, all that. And that's been problematic too. I definitely don't want to go as strong as everybody, as some people, as the companies and the government want to, but I do feel that, there are some issues. Sony didn't sue for the No Way Home leaks. They did not sue, but I can tell you there were repercussions for that. And I don't feel comfortable divulging what they were, but everybody in the scoop, in the press community knows that was not a victimless crime. Hey, Stephen. Nobody got fired, though, to the credit of the leaker. So that was, they protected their sources, which is the way you got to do it. You got to always protect your source. That's very important. So let's see here. Hey, Potterhead. Let's see here. I think, hold on, let me just finish my thoughts on this, and then I'll get to your questions, okay? And your comments. So anyway, also one of the reasons that spoilers have ballooned over the past couple of years is because people are working from home. And I think that it's easier, there doesn't have the same level of security in your house, right? And then also when you are at home, I think you feel a little bit more free. No one's watching you, you're not at the office. And so I think that's contributing to the rampant spoilers that you're seeing. I think for the most part, I think that the press, we've been pretty good. Like there were no major spoilers for Quantumania, from the press and scoopers to the most part. And I know that, the studio is very happy about that. And so, but I think that anonymous scoopers are in particular where it's getting out of control because there's no repercussions for them because they're anonymous. And it's, they're doing it largely for clout. There's no money to be made off of scoops. At least no one's figured. I mean, I guess if they have Patreon accounts, but for the most part, to date, it's not a huge revenue driver. But it goes out to a large degree. So I think that Disney must feel, hey, judge, they're going to go up in front of the judge and they're going to say, Reddit distributed our script. And then Reddit's going to be like, I'm not responsible for that. And then Disney's going to say to the judge, well, what do you mean? You're in a sense selling stolen property. And then I think a judge would be like, yeah, that's pretty sketchy. And then that's kind of like the beginning of like a legal breadcrumbs that Disney could start to lay out. I'm gonna put a poll. This is perfect for a poll. You guys can vote while we're discussing. How do you feel about spoilers? And you can be like, love them. And then they're going a bit too far. And then don't like any spoilers. And then the fourth option will be nothing can be done. So just spinning your wheels, Disney. Now, the reason that Disney, you might be like, why does Disney want to find these leakers? What are they going to do? Well, it's pretty well known that most of these, to some degree, at least some of them, actually work for Disney. Disney knows this. So they have NDAs that they signed. So Disney wants to be able to say, hey, you're breaking your NDA. Or at least, get them out of there because they're stealing material from their employer. So that's kind of where Disney is. And, because you can understand Disney's feeling. They're like, someone in the building is leaking our stuff. And not like a little bit, but like an incredible amount of material. It's getting like really, I think, a lot. Now, how do I feel about it? And I also feel that Disney, I think, wants to compel Reddit to have to take this stuff down as soon as it goes up. I think that's what Disney's, I think that's Disney's game plan for the end of the day. Just like they can go on Twitter and Instagram and demand a takedown. I think they want to demand a takedown on Reddit. And so I think that's probably what they're hoping for here. And that seems reasonable to me. Because, I've always said that I feel like, if it can be used in the advertising for a movie, you can talk about it, right? And I've, recently you might have noticed that sometimes I'll just kind of give you a hint for a spoiler. And I'll say it's one of these three things or one of these two things. And then I'll just leave it because I feel like you don't want to spoil the whole movie. It's definitely a fine line. And I think one of the things that drives spoilers is the anonymous scooper. Because when somebody in the scoop community, like myself, who uses their own name, and the trades, none of the trades have been annoyed about this for a very long time. The trades know that someone's going to get it, and it's going to come out from somebody. So it puts all of us in a really difficult position. If we knew we were all going to hold the line, nobody would say anything. So I think that that's really difficult. And I do think that leaking the actual script is just way too far. Way too far, you know? And it's like what Alfred said. Some people just want to see the world burn. Like, why would you do that? You know? I've been talking to some friends of mine in the industry, and they're like, you would never be able to have the original Scream. You'd never be able to have The Usual Suspects today, because someone would go right on Twitter and be like, I know who Kaiser Soze is. And it would just ruin the entire experience. And I think that's very fair. I even think about Endgame. I was blown away by the ending of Endgame, you know, Avengers Endgame. I didn't know that they were going to kill off Tony. I didn't know what was going to happen to Captain America. And that really, I think, made the movie really great. Now, some people are like, oh, Disney's just upset that Quantumania is doing so poorly. And I don't think that's true, because as I told you, these scoops didn't get very far. For the most part, Quantumania going into the opening weekend was pretty spoiler-free. It was impressive. The press, for the most part, held the line. And I think that's really, as I said, just the most egregious leak yet that I think that Disney can point to and be like, that's just outright theft. Whelm says, Marvel is going after Reddit instead of just firing the Rick and Morty writers. Well, no, unless they leaked it. Seb says, I don't know about Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield. You're ahead of the curve, Seb. We're talking about this stuff. So let me see here. Any other? So you can ask me anything you'd like now about this, and I'll answer it. Kevin says, remember when we went into a movie and had minimal context? Those days are out the window, unfortunately. I want to experience that magic again. I would agree. Heather S. says, studios put out a lot. It's a fine line between being excited for the movie and just outright ruining it. Heather S. says, studios put a lot of money for content. They have to be careful. I signed a contract with my company not to act like a jerk online as an employee and not disclose proprietary information. That's right, Heather. But if you had an anonymous account, how could they be able to stop you? And that's what they're dealing with right now. Alexander Padilla says, but I like spoilers. That's funny. Hey, Squishy, I'm glad you're back. Roku says, I can see that Disney can legally be successful getting the takedown of actual copyrighted material, but no way they get descriptive posts off. That's true, and that's why I think Disney hasn't taken legal action until now. Hannah Doyle says, I often think how amazing No Way Home would have been if we didn't all know about the Spider-Man. Yeah, that's true. I think that's true to a degree. I think nobody guessed that Sony was not going to advertise them in the like Sony till the bitter end was like, they're not in the movie. And Andrew Garfield was lying his head off. It was amazing. And so some people did doubt it until they went to the theater, which I thought was pretty cool. But that was very interesting. You think for sure a selling point for that movie would be the Spider-Men are in it. But they were like, no, we're not going to do it. So that was very interesting. That's right, Mika, the Sixth Sense. You would never be able to have the Sixth Sense today. And then Harry says, funny you mentioned Scream because most of their early scripts leaked. Yeah, luckily I was able to avoid those spoilers, although I did get one. I did get hit by one, and it did affect the movie for me a little bit. And then when I was watching the movie, the beginning is full of so many surprises, I was like, wow, I can see why they're so protective of this movie from a leak perspective. William Wallace said, I like that. I love the little winks and nudges you give as teases in your non-spoiler review. I don't like full spoilers though. Agree, that's where I stand. I mean, like, it's killing me not being able to tell you about the end of John Wick, but I want you to be able to experience that. Although Twitter will ruin that immediately. So you make sure that you get off of Twitter when that movie hits theaters. Hey, Emilio. Prince Zodiac says, has Marvel actually changed plots because of leaks? I've never heard that. I hear that Marvel changes things up until the last minute because they test poorly. And they're like, whew, this is not good. I've only heard it's for poor tests. And they only test in front of their employees, by the way. So when your own employees are like, whoo, you know it's not good. Travis says, a little bit of spoilers is fine. Most of the time with source material around, you can make an educated guess as to what's going to happen. I would agree with that. And Shadow Realm, hey Shadow Realm, and Juan Carlos says, back when I was a boy, the spoilers were in the trailer. That's so funny. That's true. But you can't tell unless you've seen the movie often. But when you watch old trailers, you're like, you gave away the whole movie. That's crazy. Matt says, Grace, will you tell people spoilers if they DM'd you? No, I would not, because you're going to screenshot it and share it, and then I'm going to be in so much trouble. Thank you, Dory. I appreciate that. I do often. I'm using a new shampoo. Someone suggested a really good shampoo to me. It's Herbal Essences, like honey something, and it really has helped. It really helped my hair a lot. Hey, Shadow Realm in Bulgaria. All right, let me close. Oh, Colton got a membership. Oh, that's great. Trisha, did I miss your super chat? Where'd it go? Oh, Brothers Quantum said spoilers are part of the hype machine that benefits the MCU. I think to a degree it does, but at what point do you hit the tipping point? And I agree that they've kind of hit the tipping point. Mika says, do you think the Gunn will run a tight ship at DC spoiler-wise? I do not. There are rampant spoilers coming out of there already. As you know, I just had to tease one the other day that I saw a lot of anonymous scoopers just outright saying, but I just teased it. Trisha, I don't see your thing. Hold on, I'm looking for it. Boy, Trisha, it's way back here. Jacob says, I think Disney would be fine if it was helping projects. But I think, yes, of course they would. Studios are perfectly fine until it starts to hurt. Oh, Trisha says, imagine a script leak for Secret Wars. Yeah, that's really true. I'm not going to tell you who's in Secret Wars specifically. I told you like some X-Men are coming back, but I'm not going to ruin that. I think that would be just awful. I think you really want the surprise. But here's the thing. Like, who am I kidding? Like, I'm not going to tell you, but someone else is, for sure. With the way things are right now, you will know the entire number of, just like for Multiverse, let me do a poll on that. Just like Multiverse of Madness, you're going to know every single person in Secret Wars. All right, hold on. Because again, the leaker's in the building. How do you feel about spoilers? 41% say going too far. 28% say don't like them at all. Only 15% love them. That's fascinating. That's fascinating. And 14% are like, there's nothing you can do about it. All right, let me ask you a specific poll about Secret Wars. Let's see here. Start a poll. How would you feel about Secret Wars spoilers? Bring them on. I want to be surprised. And then we'll do, I just want a few teases. Like, when I'm saying, like, there'll be X-Men coming back from the original, like, Like, they already announced that Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is coming back for Deadpool 3, so I feel it's not a detrimental spoiler to say he's also going to be in Secret Wars. You see what I'm saying? But I don't want to tell you, like, someone who specifically... Lord Baratheon says, is testing only employees a good idea or a bad idea? I think they did it because they thought they could control the leaks, but that hasn't been working as of late. But you certainly can't control the leaks from regular screeners. I get full descriptions of the movies when they test. And I love it. I know everything that happens in Barbie as of the current cut. I know that entire movie, as do many scoopers. Devin Henderson says, just joining, I think spoilers are really affecting our ability to enjoy films. Even minor spoilers can reset expectations for audiences before a watch. I think that's true. I want you to have the John Wick experience, which is why I'm not spoiling it. And I think for Barbie, I've been very careful not to spoil it as well, because I don't think that's fair to the filmmakers. Whelm says, what do in-house leakers get from I think that it's the clout and the followers, Alexander Wilson says, RuPaul took spoilers to court in 2018 and the various social media accounts took the spoilers down. That's interesting. Innovative David, I ain't giving away any spoilers. I'm not doing it. Gallup Productions wants the spoilers. Hey, Binge God. Let's see here. That's right, Chad. The call is coming from inside the house. They're like, oh my God. I guarantee you that especially some of the anonymous scoopers have seen multiple things for Secret Wars already. All right, let me see. We'll move on to the next story in a minute. Hey, King Blandon. Steam Music hates spoilers. B Weeb, though, counters spoilers don't matter, make better movies. Well, hey, Nameless Desires. What a name! I think That's true to some degree. It wouldn't be as bad if the movies were also very good. But I don't totally agree. I wouldn't have wanted to know the ending of Endgame. And I wouldn't want to know The Usual Suspects is an amazing film, as is The Sixth Sense. Do you really feel the movies would still be as good if you knew the ending going in? I mean, I just don't think that holds up. All right, I'm going to end the poll and then we'll move on to the next story. How would you feel about Secret Wars spoilers? 43% want to be surprised. 38% want just a few teases. And then interestingly, close to the 15% that love spoilers in the last poll, only 17% of you say bring them on. So it's not even a huge group that wants the spoilers, but it's driving it for the whole community. Fascinating. 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 Thanks, Trisha. I'm glad you feel I get it just right. It's really, it's tough because I got to remain competitive in my market. But, at the same time, I do feel it's gone too far. And then people even forget that I'm the one who broke the story. Or I have losers who are like, saying that I don't get stuff right, even though my track record is, I would say, conservatively 90% correct. So, and then every time I've been wrong, it's because they changed it before the movie released. And then people are just like, oh, see, so it's like, it's a tough game, and so sometimes you're like, why am I even doing this, But, it's pretty awesome. It is awesome. It is cool. And it's great to see everybody get excited. But, I think, I think it's really important not to ruin people's experiences, too. I'm trying really hard to protect from spoilers even in my breakdowns. Because some people are like, oh, you're alluding to something that's going to happen. And I have to try and figure out the balance between people who've played the game and the people who haven't. Because sometimes if I don't talk about a spoiler that people in the game know, people are like, oh, you don't know about this. You don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, I do, but I'm trying not to ruin it for the people who haven't played the game. So it's really tough. It's a tough space. And I think, though, that I 100% believe that leaking the closed captioning script for Quantumania is crossing the line. Let's see here. Jojo Bell says, I like watching people's theories over getting straight up spoiled. That's interesting, Jojo Bell, because spoilers have killed theories. We can't have theory videos anymore because we know, right? Oh, my Jodie Comer scoop. And even with Jodie Comer, I didn't say specifically that she was in Blade Runner. I was like, Jodie Comer's going to join a major franchise, so that's great. I'm glad it finally hit the trades. And the trades know this stuff, but they have to sit on it. So they get very frustrated with scoopers and stuff because they're like, oh, we're not allowed to say, but we know it too. You wouldn't believe the amount of stuff that people in Hollywood, myself, like the media and scoopers, we know a lot more than we even tell you. And I can tell you from speaking to producers and people who are like creatives in the industry, they know even more. It would blow your mind what they know. It would blow your mind. Like, I recently scooped a cameo in The Flash, and I didn't tell you exactly who it was. But I can tell you that I was talking to an industry friend of mine, and I was like, oh, guess what I scooped? I was very proud of myself because it was one of the hardest scoops I ever had to get. I had to do like a lot of detective work. And this person I was talking to was like, oh yeah, I've known that for months. And I was like, what? I'm glad they didn't tell me because that's the other thing. You really don't want to get your people, and especially when they're actual friends, in trouble. Because sometimes the circle of people who know is very small. And so they're like, oh, that got out. Only like 10 people know. Let's go figure out who it was. So it's really tough. Harlequin Deb says, I think perhaps there should be an option for spoilers, but not all over. But I can see what you're saying, Harlequin Dove, about having a son with autism and, he likes to know in advance. I can see that, but then just, go see the movie first and then you don't have to go opening day. Your son doesn't have to go opening day. Because I think that Twitter disseminates the spoilers so effectively and comments that it is tough. It is getting very, very tough. Let's see here. And it's tough. I totally understand. Devin says, oh, your track record is impeccable. Thank you so much. Do you think the excessive use of the volume is to combat on-set spoilers? Or just, I think it's just production cost. I think it's just much more cost effective. I better get moving on to the next story. This is a good story though. Thanks, Sensation. I always love your comments. Nicholas, that's not a real spoiler. Hey, Rena. Let's see here. SMR Goose says scripts are only available via login, not on paper. Yeah, they are starting to change that, but once the thing gets to like post and everything like that, and people are seeing concept art, it starts to go away. Bryce says, I remember seeing footage of Multiverse of Madness all over Twitter and TikTok before it was released. Yeah, that was nuts. That was nuts, man. That was nuts. SMR Goose says a leak has a source. Someone with access is responsible. Yeah, but you can never expose your source. That would be just egregious. Thank you, Ross. I'm glad you guys feel I walk the line. I really try and walk the line. It's very hard to do. Andrew says The Last of Us Part 2 story was leaked before it was released, and I think it super hurt the reception of the game. Oh, that's interesting. Look, you guys are trying to fast forward. All right. Really quickly, as told by Alexis from doing hair on some movies and TV, I can tell you even us in the hair department get part of the script for the scene we are doing the hair for. See, that's fascinating. Alex actually has a very impressive career. Let's see here. Lawson. Okay, let's boop on to the next story. Let's boop. You guys are trying to boop ahead. You guys are going to do it. Let's boop, baby. Boop. Okay. Also, thank you. I don't want to get myself in trouble. All right. I gave you a very good sneak behind the scenes look at what it's like in the Scoop game. That's crazy. All right. The Last of Us Part 2. This is also difficult to cover because I was thinking of doing a breakdown. Someone said, why don't you break down everyone who could be cast in The Last of Us Part 2? And I was like, I can't do that because I would ruin a lot of the characters who are supposed to be a surprise. I don't want to detail Bill. Like, imagine if you knew about Bill and Frank and Sam and Henry going in. You would be like, what? I was like, I don't really feel that would be a good idea because people are very sensitive about spoilers now in particular. Like, people are very sensitive about House of the Dragon spoilers, even though you can read the entire story online. And they're very sensitive about The Last of Us. Hey, Tristan. So it's tough. It's a tough situation. I mean, I did now go and look up the whole story for Part 2, but they're going to change some stuff about it. So let's talk. I'm going to have very few spoilers here. If you haven't watched, I'm going to have very few spoilers at all because I can tell, I've heard you don't like spoilers for The Last of Us. As for who I would cast as Abby Frosty Salt, one of you suggested Florence Pugh, and she's perfect. As a matter of fact, I don't think anyone else could do it. I mean, maybe like an unknown, but I mean, as you can see, Abby is like really like a beast, like she is like, look at the muscles on that chick, right? You're like, whoa, like she is hardcore. And also a character hated by many, but I feel that Florence Pugh could make her likable. Like, who wouldn't like Florence Pugh? That's right, Sean Turner. Florence Pugh going up against Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, you would be like, I'm not quite sure who to root for. So I'm glad you like Abby. So Abby does have her fans. Alexander, Florence Pugh is not overrated. Did you see Puss in Boots 2? Her voice work was incredible. But I feel that Florence Pugh is like the only person on the face of the earth who can make Abby likable. And you would be like, you know what? I kind of like Abby. Abby, I can't tell you who Abby is. Abby is, she is an interesting mix. She is not only in some regards the villain of season 2, but in some cases she's the lead. The story is sometimes told from her perspective. So you're going to be spending a ton of time with Abby. So her casting is the most crucial. She is the only important. She is the most vital. For season 1, nobody really stayed around. I am being very careful, CJ. I'm being very careful. Emma Stone is interesting, but I don't know if Emma Stone could get that big. But she would also be an interesting choice. The physicality of the role, I think, is important. But I feel like Florence Pugh could do it. So anyway, so let's see. Let's see what happens. Let's see. But in season 1, characters wouldn't be around for more than 1 or 2 episodes besides Joel and Ellie. But in season 2, there are a lot more characters that stick around for a long period of time. That's a great idea, Wizalante. You guys, some of you guys should be casting directors. You certainly are better than other ones, the ones that actually are working. Maisie Williams from Game of Thrones, to keep that Game of Thrones vibe going, would be incredible. And she would actually also be an excellent choice for this character. Excellent choice for the character. Fascinating. And I'm very excited to see them play around with this character. The Last of Us, they compared it to Euphoria when it's first debuted, and they said, look how Euphoria's audience grew. And Euphoria is a show that's very much about representation. And I feel like The Last of Us is really a show about representation, more so than you even know. And I think that's only going to continue with part 2. And so I kind of like that. I kind of think that's really neat. Like the Last of Us is so much a show about representation. And I think even just representing different types of women is really cool. And that's something that Abby does. All right, so the show has only, I don't know who Shannon Barry is, David C. I shall Google her. So anyway, it was renewed for just one more season. It's only been renewed for one more season. And they're hoping to maybe start filming this year, but the earliest it can come out is late 2024, early 2025. They got to be careful about the length of time between seasons. Luckily, there's a time jump in the story anyway, but that is a very long time to have to wait. I think that The Mandalorian is suffering from too long of a wait. I think that Shadow and Bone, which comes out on Thursday, really suffers from too long of a wait. I think it's tough to have to wait this long. Trisha says Florence Pugh is so busy. I don't care. I would offer so much money that she made time. Lawson says just became a member. So sorry that this is off topic, but it's crazy that Twitter is automatic censorship for what? Lawson, that's incredibly off topic. No, it's not. That's a good point, actually, Lawson. If you can censor explicit content, you should be able to filter spoilers as well. That would be a good thing. And I think they're only going to be forced to come up with that if Disney takes them to court and forces them to do it. That's a good idea. But still, people will screen, you can't count on people to do what they need to. I got to tell you, on new Twitter, I see a lot of inappropriate content that I wish was censored. I'm like, my eyes, why? I just wanted to see what people were talking about. And I found out. It's so silly. All right, so anyway. I think I would like to get a regular actress, like a professional actress, but they have to do the bodybuilding. If Abby doesn't do the bodybuilding, I don't want to see. I'm going to be upset. Abby is really, really muscular, and that is really crucial and integral to the character. The whole reason The Last of Us is successful is because it's loyal to the source material. So don't change that now. And Neil Druckmann said he's not going to change that now. So let's see. All right, yeah, you guys agree. Abby better be ripped. And Florence Pugh would do it. All right, also, everyone's about to get paid. Woo, paydays. I wonder if the second season was built into their contracts, but Pedro Pascal was already getting $600,000 an episode for season 1, which I think he deserved. I hope Bella Ramsey can negotiate a better payday, because her role is going to get even bigger. And I think that's important. And as WeSee said, is what I was just going to say, they said that part 2 is too much story for one season. Is it? But they're like, oh, we need more seasons. So they said there's flashbacks. They said definitely, they haven't been renewed for more than one season, but they're saying that part 2 is definitely a multi-season story. Now, some theories are that because it involves so many flashbacks and because of something that happens in season 2, to delay that, they might have season 2 be between part 1 and 2 of the game. And I think they could maybe do that, but I think they have to be very careful. I think if they play around with this too much, they're going to lose part of the magic sauce, which was how dedicated to the source material this show is. Craig Mazin said it's going to continue to be the way it was in part 1, and that's where it's very accurate to the game, yet some things are fleshed out. And I thought that worked. So I trust this creative team at this point, to be honest with you. So I'm like, let's do it. I would just keep doing what they're doing, quite frankly. As I said, Abby is key casting, and we'll see who they get for the role. Oh, it's 2:40 already. All right, so let's get going. Let's get to the next story of the day, which is quick. It's really only... All right, you ready? All right. Boom, baby. Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield are making a movie together. That's it. There's no detail. I needed a third story. There's no details that have been revealed. This was already in the works, but everybody really enjoyed seeing them as co-presenters at the Oscars, which means, hey, can we get a Pedro Pascal and Elizabeth Olsen project, please? And apparently it's some kind of a love story. So I think that's great. I really love both of them. I'd love to see them do some stuff. So I'm excited about it. That's the story. All right. So it is 2:40. We can do 5 minutes of Ask Me Anything. So hold on. Let me get to the Q&A. All right, there we go. Ask me anything that you would like. I'm not necessarily going to answer you. Let's see here. Kit says, Grace, how come you never talked about The Legend of Vox Machina Season 2? This season was so good and better than Season 1. I just, sometimes things just slip through my fingers. I just don't have time to cover them. And also, I didn't see there was a lot of heat for the show. I'm glad that some people like it, but I don't know. I think also because Dungeons and Dragons is coming out, I don't want to be over Dungeons and Dragons before that movie. T3074 says, hey Grace, what do you think about Melissa Barrera for James Gunn's Wonder Woman? Somebody said Lois Lane and I wasn't feeling it, but I think she's actually a pretty darn good casting for Wonder Woman. Those eyebrows, I love her eyebrows. I think she'd be a good choice. She could also be the new Brazilian Wonder Woman, but she could actually be, like Wonder Woman too, I agree. David Crown said, I like the idea of John Hamm as Batman. I think that's a pretty good idea, although he's so much older than the Superman that they're going for that, I don't know how they could do it. William Wallace says, I think Jenna Ortega really helped with the successful box office opening for Scream. I'm a high school teacher, and a lot of my students decided to see it for her. That's cool, you're a high school teacher. That's awesome. Yeah, I think she was a big part of that. Big part of it. Elle Blum, I did finish Bad Sisters on Apple. Loved it. Loved it. Dancing Dog 60 says, could Katie Sackhoff play Power Girl? Do we really need Power Girl, though? I don't really know if we need Power Girl, to be honest with you. Let's see here. Trisha says, how do you think Guardians 3 will do? I do not think it'll make $1 billion. Well, I gotta see it. The trailer has not really excited people from what I've seen. I think it looks pretty good, but I haven't seen a lot of excitement for the trailer. Is it snowing again? It is, damn it. Okay. DP Sleep K says, do you think that the success of The Last of Us, will more mainstream entertainment feel less afraid to add authentic LGBT characters and plot lines? That would be great. That would be wonderful. I hope so. I think this is some of the best representation yet, for sure. It's very exciting what they accomplished with this show. And I think Scream did a lot too. Potterhead 7. Potterhead 7, I'm glad you can comment. Can we please get Scream 6 spoiler thoughts? I've been thinking of doing a live spoiler review. Maybe I'll do that as the live tomorrow, if there's no stories. Ramon Luis says, has anyone been cast as Vanessa in The Little Mermaid? Would a change like that be offensive to Melissa McCarthy? I don't see how it could be, because that's how it was in the original, right? And I think she's not a match with Prince Eric, so it wouldn't work to some degree. I don't know. Let's see what they decide to do. I had a friend who I was talking to about the Little Mermaid trailer, and they had a really good thing. They said they plus-size casted Ursula, and they were just looking for a plus-size actress rather than focusing on an actress that could pull off the role. And I thought that was a really strong analysis. I was like, yes, because again, I wanted Lady Gaga. Keith, they have not released any more Mando episodes to the press, at least not yet. Last time they released them like 10 p.m. at night, so maybe I'll get an announcement then, but so far, nothing. Hey, Justin, I'm going to be getting up early, but not ridiculous, especially because nobody's watching Mando, unfortunately. But so I'm shooting to get my breakdown of episode 3 up by noon Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Also, I've got to work on my Shazam review, because the review embargo drops tomorrow at 6, so I got to have my video ready to go. Oh, Alexander, Gwendolyn Christie is Abby. How did we not think of that? Oh my God. That's a great idea. I'm sorry, Gwendolyn Christie. I feel so bad. She would be excellent. Okay. I like both choices. Florence Pugh or Gwendolyn Christie. Gwendolyn Christie is available. For Gwendolyn Christie. Hey, Mr. Riley James. Oh, you blew my mind. Let's see here. Although Elle Blum says Melissa McCarthy's the only reason they're watching Little Mermaid. Adam says it's snowing in Indiana. Oh, that's nice. I hope yours is sticking. It's just wet and gross here. Raul Ortiz says, who should Pedro Pascal play in the MCU or a Disney adaptation? Oh, I don't know. I'd love to see him do some more dramatic and comedic work where he's just like Pedro Pascal, because he was so good on Saturday Night Live. I'll be really curious to see what he does next. Xavier says, hi Grace, do you know about the Indian film industry? I know a little bit about it. It's really so much its own thing, so I certainly don't know it the way that I do Hollywood. But I am familiar with some of the talent there, and I certainly pay attention when they're brought over. Let's see here. Talon says, LGBT movie with Andrew Scott and Paul Mescal this year. Oh, really? Oh, I love Andrew Scott. He doesn't work enough. Oh, it's 2:45? Thank you. You guys are so nice to remind me. Kayla says, how come John Krasinski is not Mr. Fantastic? Who do you think will be casting? Why so long in casting? I think they want to get it right. I've told you that Adam Driver is a front runner, but there are other people in contention. I think that John Krasinski was not particularly good as Mr. Fantastic, to be honest with you. I feel very few people thought he was good. So I think that's one of the reasons. Hey, New Prophet. Jared says, what would you like to see in Scream 7? Oh, Pedro Pascal for White Lotus? Great idea, Mills. I'm totally in favor of that. I would love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I'm not sure what I'd like to see in Scream 7. I liked how edgy it was. Marco, I didn't ignore your super chat. Didn't I get it? I've never seen Buffy or Charmed. Marco, did I get to your super chat? Oh, there it is. I did ignore it. Jimmy Kimmel did a great job hosting the Oscars. I thought so too. I said that yesterday. I mean, it wasn't amazing, but I thought he did a nice job. You know, like, that's a nice job. Let me see. Let's see anything else really quickly. Darcy. Pedro Pascal is Hades, and no, I don't think he's good for that. Darcy, did I miss it? Darcy, let me go find it. Justin. Oh, have I ever watched The Walking Dead? I watched the first episode. It was too gross for me, so no, I haven't. Ramon says, has anyone been casted Vanessa? Oh, I already answered that. Darcy, where's your thing? Darcy, where's your chat? Gustavo says, will Shazam 2 flop? I don't know. I'm not sure. I got to see it. I'll tell you after I see it tonight. Darcy, you're way back here. I don't see it, Darcy. Oh, here it is. Sorry, Darcy. Why are so many shows taking longer to get into production and come out? More than a year is stupid. Well, I think they're expensive. I think their talent is busy. And I think COVID has slowed things down a bit. I think it's definitely taking longer than it used to. El Pacheco says, currently on spring break and first time catching you live. Woohoo! Thank you for your fantastic work and keeping us entertained and in the loop. You guys are so nice. I love you guys. I can't quit you. I can't get off. All right, I better get going or I'm going to be late. All right. You guys are the absolute best. I had so much fun talking to you. Thank you for such a fun conversation about particularly spoilers in The Last of Us. I had a very nice time. You guys are just the best. I'll talk to you soon, and tomorrow there'll be some kind of... the live might not actually be tomorrow. It might be Thursday or Friday, come to think of it. Let me see how my timing's going. But there will be another live this week for sure, because I promised you 3 a week. And I'm trying to make the third one maybe a Scream spoiler review. Okay, everybody, bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.